Fertilo, in its simplest form, is a product to mature eggs outside of the body. When I look at Fertilo, I think it's on the edge of innovation of so many technologies that have been developing not only in IVF, but in biology as a whole. When we think about so many of the innovations that have occurred in recent years, from even the making of stem cells and how we understand what cells do and how they function and how an ovary functions and how it changes over time, it's all led to something like Fertilo, where you've got an incredibly functional version of an ovary in a dish. How we actually do that is by taking these stem cells and turning them into the most critical cell type in the human ovary, known as ovarian support cells. And we take these cells and we actually put them to work by putting them into a dish with human eggs that are retrieved in IVF. And really over the course of about a day, these cells work with the patient's eggs to help really drive their maturation and development. And the goal of this is so that you don't really have to do IVF in the traditional way, where you've got 10 to 12 days of stimulation, you're trying to get those eggs to mature inside the body. The whole kind of point of Fertilo is that you can try to make the IVF process safe and fast and efficient by really taking a lot of the biology out of the body and putting it into a dish. The ovary is one of the most complex and dynamic organs in the body. And really, in order to develop an egg, that egg really needs the support of not only all of the tissue and the cells that surround it, but even the brain and the blood to all work together to coordinate how that egg develops. And what happens though in the IVF process is that when you remove that egg from the body, you lose that entire support infrastructure. And so what Fertilo actually is an attempt to rebuild that support architecture. We take Fertilo and we put it directly into the dish with these eggs and rebuild the actual signaling that occurs between the two. Fertilo is really simply applied in kind of any embryology lab that exists today. I mean, the company really took great pains to try to not make Fertilo something intensely complex. What we know about IVF treatment and a lot of the new technologies is that they can require a huge amount of training, a huge amount of new equipment, whole changes to the way that these labs are actually run. And what we wanted is that we wanted to try to make it as easy for a physician and an embryologist to actually apply the product and make use of it. So when an embryology lab is actually thinking of using Fertilo, what it's actually stored in and comes in is a vial. And this vial is stored in liquid nitrogen, and these cells are frozen like you would really store pretty much any tissue or cell type in the body. When you're going to actually use Fertilo, you'll take it out of the liquid nitrogen, you'll thaw it in a water bath or a bead bath for a couple of minutes, spin it down to get rid of all of that cryopreservation media, and then take it and put it into a dish. And what Fertilo actually looks like is it's a culture droplet that contains media and hormones that are very common to not only IVM, but also the IVF process. And you add these cells into that droplet to prepare the whole dish. And when a physician or an embryologist then actually goes to apply it, you'll take the immature eggs that are retrieved, put them into the dish with the media and the cell supplement, and you'll culture it for about 30 hours on average to really drive that maturation and achieve its intended result.
For Fertilo, we use the cells that we call induced pluripotent stem cells that are derived from a donor. So usually those cells are derived from an adult cell, let's say a cell from the skin. We are able to turn these cells back in time and make them pluripotent stem cells. Now these pluripotent stem cells have this capability of becoming any cell in the body, including the ovarian support cells. Gamito found out a way of turning the stem cells into ovarian support cells, and now these cells are the cells that are provided to the clinics and used to support the maturation of immature human oocytes. In order to release batches of Fertilo to the clinics, we have to look for 4 buckets of things. One is identity, in which we show that the cells we are making are indeed ovarian support cells. We also look for conformancy to show that the entire process happened as it was supposed to happen. The third one is potency, in which we show that the cells are not just ovarian support cells, but they are also able to mature human oocytes. And the final one is safety, in which we ensure that the cells are not going to be any source of human pathogens or toxins to the patient.
What we're hoping for is that Fertilo makes IVM a reality for every patient. That when a physician is thinking about all of the different ways they could treat their patient and how to give the most care and the most benefit, that Fertilo is first and foremost on their mind. That they can talk with physicians that are at other practices and say, hey, there's actually a solution that I find easy to implement, the patients tolerate great, and that the success rates are great. All three of those things matter for any physician, any clinic, and any patient to want to adopt it. With Fertilo, and the mission of Gamito is to try to bring these innovations from the bench and the basic biology to the bedside, and actually make this something that if a patient needs this treatment today, they can get it. And it's amazing that really we've taken this over a decade of research and that we've brought this into a commercial and a clinical stage development, that today if patients want to actually go and obtain this treatment in Australia or Japan, in Mexico and Peru, they can. And I think that's incredibly important, that we're not talking about something that is theoretical or far off. It's something that patients can access today. And as we as a company go through our development, we want to bring Fertilo to everybody. We don't want it for only those who can afford it or are privileged enough to live in an area with insurance coverage or great clinics. We want it to be part of the equity and access equation that's important for worldwide fertility treatment.